Thanks everyone. Look, what I'd like to start with is just a little bit of my background. And yes, I have been a farmer, and I guess where I started was in 20 acres of rainforest at Springbrook, and I carved out a section where I worked organically in the forest. I moved to 10 acres on the Logan River, where I expanded from that, and then soon after I found myself on a 94-acre farm where I farmed organically. And at that time I sort of grew to know a friend, became a friend, who was the only farmer that I knew pretty well, southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales, I'm talking about in the early 80s. And when I started the 94-acre farm, he came out, and some of you may know Alex Podolensky. He brought him with him, who was the founder of biodynamics in Australia. So he came out and he was just amazed that here was this 25-year-old beginning to farm 94 acres that had no idea really from his perspective of farming. So he was quite inspired, because he said to me this is the biggest farm that he's seen in Australia that's going organic at that time. So he brought out his cow horns and said, okay, I'm going to look after you and do all the preparation for the cow horns. We put them in the shed, and after he left, I followed his instructions and I worked the farm how I guess I was inspired to do it, and I also did these experimental trials that he prescribed for me. And the end of the story is that I discovered something for myself that was a natural farming way that seemed to be actually as good, if not better, than the biodynamics. So I guess that's why I'm standing in front of you, because with my partner Alora, we're members, and when I came back from travelling around a little bit, I guess we're bumping into a few people, and people were saying, what's happening on the farm? And we kept having these bump-ins, and then I said to Laura, better go and check out what's going on the farm. So I think we rang Alf, we went down, we spent a night, and look, this farm, from the first day that I saw it, it's an extraordinary farm. It's got immense potential, unrealised potential at the moment. But what can happen probably in 4 months, if you walked on the farm today and came back in 4 months, give me that opportunity, you would see a totally different farm. What I actually get from people is that the farm hasn't produced, and what I would like to see is the farm produce. And I want to see the farm produce everything on a rhythmic cycle that is easy, from the most basic salad things to massive crops of watermelons, rock melons, honeydew melons, you name it. And it's possible because I've actually done it. And I've done it in broadacre polyculture, just similar to what Alf would like to do, but low maintenance, because I worked the property 94 acres that I worked 80% by myself, but I had the machinery to do it. So I know it's possible, so it can be done. So I guess I've got all this proposal, but in some way I feel what is actually needed on the farm, which is actually your farm. It's our farm. And I think there's been a little bit of a missing link here somewhere, that if it's your farm, then why aren't we on the farm? And my feeling is that we need to get to the farm, and as a few weeks ago Laura and I put together these working bees as an initial step to get people, I wanted to meet people to see what was possible. So what I'm seeing is there are people who want to come to the farm and work. So I can create that space for that to happen. I've had amazing talks with Alpha Marina, and it's like this old chapter needs to be closed so we can open a new chapter. I feel we're in a transition stage, and it's like in anything in life, when you're in a transition stage, you just have to know, oh, we're in a transition stage, it's okay, it's actually all right. There's always a way through. So I guess the next step after I speak is to find that way through, to share it with you, that way through. How many of you would like actually to participate on the farm? Maybe you could put your hands up. Who would like to come to the farm and work? Maybe it's one day every 2 weeks, maybe it's during the week, one day a month, one day a season. It all adds. You know, I was out there Monday after last week's working day, and I was talking to Rob, and it was like the feeling that he had, and I could see, was after that working day, it was like for him to do that much work would have taken him 2 to 3 weeks. Now we had 14 people there. Probably, if you looked at the average, we probably averaged about 5 or 6 hours each. But the amount of work that was he was blown away by it. And that's what we need. It's a little bit of work for a lot of people, and that can shift the farm to a whole new level. It's like a quantum leap, and that's what the farm needs. And it can actually happen quite easily. It's quite easily, anybody can do weeding, anybody can plant. I'm sure there's a lot of you that would love to get out there and start working the farm. So. I guess I see farming as it's an intuitive thing. So I farm from that perspective that when you go to water something, you just don't go and turn on the taps. When you go to cultivate a field, you're just not going automatically. You're always looking at, does it need water? Does a plant, if you look at the soil, it's I guess looking at, would I be happy in the soil? And so the soil is critical for growing, getting the soil consistency right. So how I've worked and how I would like to work the farm is by utilising all the herbage that's in the ground and ploughing that back in, lightening the soil up, and it's actually bringing light and organic matter to the soil. And when the soil structure is really good, then all the microorganisms and worms can work that, and then the plants have got the best chance to really flourish. And that's what I would like to see at the farm, is things working effortlessly and flourishing, so we have this farm that we walk on, and it's just, you know, it's an amazing farm. And this can all happen, but we do need your help, assistance with that. So I think that's all that I've got to say.